We're in Montevideo, sister city to Montevideo, Uruguay. This scenic and bustling downtown is just blocks from where the Chippewa flows into the Minnesota River. Right next door to the old Hollywood Theater, in this easily overlooked little storefront, you'll find a unique business. A to Z Letterpress. The A is for Andy Kahmann, and Z his son Zachary. I asked Andy how he got started in this unusual endeavor.
I started in letterpress learning how to do this as a sophomore in high school. And I ran a press very similar to the C&P, and it's a hand-fed press. So as a sophomore in high school, you just start learning how to feed presses, and until it was up to actually running the newspaper cylinder press. So once we switched offset, of course everybody was glad to get out of it because it was dirty, it was inky, and offset printing was such a much cleaner process for offset printing. And then after I graduated high school, I got into offset printing and worked in the cities for about 3 years and learned the offset process, and then moved out to Montevideo and started running a newspaper plant for 27 years. There was a gentleman by the name of Francis Ebert who came and had some equipment that he wanted to sell or donate, and they didn't have any space, and I just happened to take his number. And on the way home, my son and I were talking, and I said, this guy has an old C&P and a paper cutter and some type. And he said, geez, Dad, we should just buy it from him and put up a garage out on we live out in the country. And so I called him up, and so my son Zachary, who at that time was printing in Duluth, we decided to get it, and then we started it. We didn't build a garage out in the country because this building became available, and that's how it started. This was almost cheaper to buy this, and we're on Main Street, and so that's how it started. And from day one, people come and drop. I'd have people drop off printing equipment, the small some of the tools and some of the blocks and stuff. I would come and there'd just be a note here saying, well, I thought you could use this, so I'm not using it anymore. So that's how everything has come here, because it's just here. So,
Can you tell us about the Meander and what that is?
the Meander is a self-guided tour the first weekend in October all along the upper Minnesota River, from Ortonville, even north of Ortonville, down to Granite Falls. So it's a group of artists who had got together. This is our 9th year. Next year will be our 10th year. And back in 2004 was the first art crawl. In the first year we had a lot of people that came. We were just blown away by how many people.
A to Z prints a special Meander calendar every year. The first step in any letterpress project is typesetting, as Barb Hawes, a volunteer helper, explains.
When you set type, you set it upside down and backwards, and you have to get it all lined up And usually you have exactly what you want to say planned out, but this time we decided to go back and change it, which means I have to pull the lines of type out and pull the lines of type out and reset them, which is tricky because, as you can see, it's lots of little pieces, tiny little pieces, and if you drop them, you have a mess of type on your hands. So I'm just resetting the type for that.
So when the press is making a revolution and the motor's on, the ink rollers come up to the ink disc and pick up ink, and they, during the revolution, take it down and deposit the ink on the type, which is in the chase, which is that form that we talked about earlier. And then when I want it to print, I feed a piece of paper into the guides, and as it's moving, I'll pull the handle on, the impression handle, and it brings it just a little bit closer so that the type just kisses the paper. So that's what I'm printing. Just a little bit of green, because that'll match when it goes, when the calendar is all together, it should match the green. So we will put some on, turn the motor on. Every time I print with the impression on, it clicks over. So I'm at 23, so I know where I'm going. I'll usually do a stack of 50 before I carry it into the bag. But it all depends on how much ink. We're not printing very much ink on the
While Andy continues printing the Meander calendars, let's peek at some of the many other creative projects he's worked on.